Justin, we're pleased to have you. Justin, once again, is running for the 5th congressional seat. Justin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. It's good to be back. Mark, I'm going to take you up on that beer. Maybe we can go down to the Plainville bowling alley. I'm going to cheer you up tonight. Mark covered a lot of the serious stuff out there, and so I'm not going to spend most of my time tonight talking about the problems. You're here tonight probably because you think we can improve things a bit. But I just want to make sure. Does anyone here in the room think we ought to re-elect Chris Murphy? No? Okay. Very good. Well, I'm a public school graduate, and I see Eric Peterson is here. We go back from public school. And so I'm not going to, I don't want to let you down either, Mark. I'm going to try to string together those sentences in a way that makes sense and talk very clearly. We have some great candidates for this election, no doubt about it. Mark is one of them. And the question you have as voters and as members of the RTC, because you're going to decide who the candidate really is, who the Republican nominee is what sets us apart? Why should you vote for me? And I think the simple answer is, even though I'm the youngest guy in this race, I'm also the most experienced. And what do I mean by that? I'm the best qualified for the job. What do I mean by that? I've got both national security experience and economics experience. I'm the only candidate in the race that has both. And over the next 10 years, and I've taken a 10-year term limit pledge because I think the problems we have in Washington, if we can't get them sorted out in 10 years, we're in big trouble. But over the next 10 years, national security and economics are going to be really most of what we're talking about, especially in Afghanistan. I'm a veteran of that conflict, of that war from 2007, an intelligence officer. I've got some ideas on how we can fix things there and how we can win without sending 30,000 to 40,000 extra troops. I've also got experience working in the Congress. I'm the only candidate who's actually worked in the Congress. Now, some people may say that's a bad thing, but I know how it works there. And on day one, I'm not going to be asking where the bathroom is. And we don't have time to waste, because whoever goes down there to represent this district, on day one, needs to be able to take action. They need to know how we're going to stop funding a lot of these crazy programs and put forward better solutions. In economics, I've got a master's degree in economics policy. Now, that doesn't make me a Peter Schiff whiz, but I've got enough private sector experience with that in small businesses and in defense, coupled with that economics background. I know a thing or two, and like Mark, I do know that we're on an unsustainable course, no doubt about it. A few other things that set me apart. I'm from Farmington. I'm from right down the road. Oldest of 9 children. As I mentioned, I went to Farmington High School. Your congressman, when I'm representing you, is going to be right here. There's guys here in the crowd that know how to get a hold of me. Darren, Lydia. I'm going to be accessible to you all the time. But I think the most important thing that sets me apart from the other candidates is that we're going to be bringing a positive message to this campaign. Because right now, most of America knows we've got a terrible problem on our hands. They know that spending is out of control. They know that we don't have job creation. They understand that we've got these hurdles that the government has put in front of us as we try to create jobs. The problem for us as Republicans is if we don't come out of the gate with solutions early in this campaign, they're going to try to tag us as the party of no, the party of doom and gloom, and the party of scare tactics. So I'm going to talk about just 3 areas where I'm going to offer solutions in this race. There will be other opportunities in the race as we go forward. On health care. We all know, I think in this room, correct me if I'm wrong, that a 2,400 or 3,000 page bill that creates a large bureaucracy and $1 trillion extra in deficit every few years is not the way to health care reform. What I propose is that we use very low-cost solutions to get the cost of health insurance down and to expand access. A few things we can do is tort reform. I know we have some attorneys like Darren in the room. But tort reform is a must. Number 2, we ought to let insurance companies sell across state lines. There's no reason why in Connecticut, with Hartford so close, with the insurance industry right in our backyard, that only 6 or 7 companies should be able to sell health insurance in Connecticut. Do we have any insurance company workers here? You won't be persecuted later. Right, so you know, you deal with these regulations all the time. And the problem isn't that our insurance companies aren't working hard or that our doctors aren't working hard. A lot of it has to do with rules that the government has put in place at the state level and at the federal level. A third thing we can do is to allow insurance companies, or rather small businesses, to pool together the way corporations and unions do to achieve lower costs. So that's on healthcare. On energy, we need an all-the-above energy policy. That means everything, from nuclear to wind and solar. And what I propose is, let's get that energy out there, and let's use the tax revenue, the extra tax revenue, the additional tax revenue, not cap and trade stuff, the additional tax revenue to fund research and development into better alternative fuels, into long-range improvements. That's the way I think we ought to go. Right now we've got this cap and trade bill that's out there, and that's just going to raise electricity costs for everyone. Now in Connecticut, we have the second highest electricity costs in the entire country, highest in the continental United States. Only Hawaii has higher electricity costs. And you think about, things you'd like to be number 2 to Hawaii on. Beaches, resorts. It's not electricity, especially in Connecticut. The way we're going to get this country back on track, one way, is to really reduce the cost of energy so that we can begin manufacturing again, lower the price of agriculture and transportation. That's a huge part of my plan to get us into greater job creation. So in energy, we have to have solutions like that. Chris Murphy is going to talk about cap and trade. One of my competitors in this race for the Republican nomination supported cap and trade at the state level. I think that was a bad idea. We're pushing jobs out of Connecticut and out of the Northeast precisely because we have a high cost of electricity. Number 3, we need solutions to spending. We all know we're spending way too much. Right now the government's borrowing 50 cents for every dollar it spends. This is outrageous. And we're looking towards about $21 trillion of debt by the end of the decade, best case scenario. My view is that the government never really stays within the bounds of what it says it's going to spend. So we could be looking at $25, $30 trillion of debt. And what that means is about $1 trillion to $2 trillion every year just to service that debt. We will be essentially like a family that's fallen on hard times and is paying out every extra dollar it has in expendable income just to pay that minimum credit card bill. That's the direction we're going right now. So what I propose is we recognize that, we tell the American people that, we remind them of it. They know it already, but we remind them. And then we offer at the minimum a 1% cut per year across the board. I'd like to see higher than that, but let's start with 1% until we get to a balanced budget. We always talk about budget freezes and we're going to lock in spending. The other day, President Obama talked about freezing the budget at these current levels. And that was supposed to be really kind of a way of reaching out to the budget hawks. And what I said was, look, if you freeze spending at this level, we're going to go bankrupt even faster. We need to start reducing spending. When I was working for Governor Rell and her cabinet, I returned 43% of my budget to the Treasury. At the end of the year, when agencies and department heads were rushing to spend every single dollar of their budget so they could justify higher budgets in the next year, we took a step back and said, hey, look, we understand Connecticut's having hard times right now, and it's going to have a tough time paying its bills. Let's return that money. And so we did. And we did that with millions of dollars of grant money. So I'm going to be offering positive solutions. People know times are bad. So with that, we're having the right message. The question is, can we win? And I think we can. And I'm not just saying that because we had a Scott Brown victory up in Massachusetts recently. We've got a great opportunity here. You are the RTCs. You're going to decide actually who is our candidate, and you're going to decide whether or not we're allowed to win. Because frankly, if you're not on the ground helping us, you're not telling us, you know your town better than anyone else. If you're not telling us where those signs go, who to reach out to, who are the main business owners in town that you got to talk to, and you got to make sure your sign's there, we can't win. Why am I the best candidate? Number of things. We talked about money. Mark and I go back and forth on who's raising more money, but we're definitely raising the money that we need to win. Number 2, polling. And Mike, why don't you pass out some of these articles and Tyler's already. We're doing very well polling. What we find is that our positive message is catching on, in that I can get votes from across the district. I'm going to be able to reach out to Democrats, independents, and we'll get our Republican base fired up. And third is, we've got the right endorsements. We hope to get some big endorsements from Simsbury. Well, right now we've got 9 Republican town committees that endorse, 3 times more than my nearest competitor.